Hey everyone, this is Alfred from The Prompted, and let's grow your Shopify store. So today we're looking at the cart progress bar again, and that's because there's been a lot of feature requests on this one. The updates we're showing today were requested by members of Stress-Free Scaling, and that's where we help add an extra 20 orders per day to your store. But today we'll actually be showing some of these updates to you too. So in this video, we'll go over the newly upgraded cart progress bar. We'll show you how you can use it to increase your AOV and conversion rate. And then we'll show you how you can use it too with some simple copy and paste code. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to mention that you should check out our free newsletter. We share daily insights that will help you grow your Shopify store profitably. And when you join, you get access to all of our conversion boosting customizations, like the one we share in this video. So check it out, link is in the description. All right, let's take a look at the new cart progress bar. Okay, so we're hopping into our demo store. And we could open up our cart. We can see we have some items in the cart, and we can add or remove items to move along this cart progress bar that we've added here. Now, if you're coming from one of our previous cart progress bars, this is not going to be something new. But if you're new here, then basically what we have here is a 3-step process where you can add 3 different goals, so that as you add items into the cart, it'll tell you how close you are to the next goal. And once you've crossed that barrier, it'll tell you how close you are to the next one and light up the icons as we go along. And so a lot of you guys have liked this feature. And what we've done today is we've actually added some additional settings and customizations on top of it. So what have we done? Let's hop into the theme editor. And here we are looking at our cart progress bar settings. These are the settings that we've added in as part of this customization. And later on, you'll see us add it into the store as part of the instructions. But what we've done here is we've added 4 main features. So the first one is that we have added the option to change whether or not you are stating the progress by price or by item count. And so the previous versions was always based on price. So you can see here, it takes how much value you have in the cart, and then we determine how close we are to the next one. So in this case, if this goal is $100, then we're $17.50 away because we're at $82.50, right? So you add those two together, that makes 100. But if you want to do it by cart items, by item count, then we can save this and let's change it to a different location because I've set the settings to be based on price for the other locations, but in the UK, we've set it by item count. So now, because I've highlighted it here, then you can see here, okay, we are, here, let me just refresh first. Okay, we are 2 items away from 10%. So the first goal is actually set to 3 items. The second goal is 5 items, and the last goal is 10 items. So as we add another item, it tells us how close we are to the next one, right? And so now you can use item count instead of price, which in some cases could potentially be a better way to represent how close you are, because sometimes maybe $50 feels really far away, but 1 item doesn't sound so far away. And so you may have a higher likelihood of someone taking that extra item and therefore increasing your AOV. What else have we done? So we've also added the option to use an exclusion, right? So whether it's for the item count or for your pricing, maybe there are some products that you don't want to include as part of that calculation. And so let's say, for example, we have this shipping protection product, and we can add this to cart. So currently, you can see here that adding the shipping protection actually affects the cart progress. But if we go and find our shipping protection product ID, okay, so here we're in our shipping protection product. You can grab the product ID from the URL there, and we can paste it into here. Click save. And then now if we refresh, we can see here that the shipping protection no longer factors into how close we are to the next goal. So in this case, we've got 5 shirts, and we're also 5 away from the 10 item goal here, right? So as I add more items, it doesn't actually count towards the progress. Only this one here does, because it's not excluded. And so you can actually use a number of exclusions if your store needs it. You just need to separate those product IDs by commas. Okay, so what have we done next? The next thing that we've done is we've allowed you to set whether the goal is based on total or subtotal for each individual goal. So say, for example, you have a mix of free shipping goals and discount goals, then you might need to use one or the other. And that's so for example, if you have a discount that kicks in at $100, so let me just go back to price for a moment, cart price, and then we're going to go back to Canada. Okay, so we can see here we have a discount that has kicked in here. So, and it only comes in at $100. So once we cross that $100 threshold, then your 10% kicks in. But you can also see here on the cart progress bar that, hey, we actually haven't reached it because we're $1 away. And that's because, well, a couple of things. There's a couple of things at play here. So one is that the cart does show that we're over $100, but we have a shipping protection product that is being excluded. So if we count the exclusion, then we're actually below the $100 threshold, which is why we're $1 away from the 10%. But the way automatic discounts work, and so if we can kind of look at your discount codes here, the way the discounts work here is it applies to all products, and it also applies to the subtotal price, so the price before discount. And so we are going to need our progress bar to reflect that. And so what we can do here is for goal 2, we can make it based on subtotal. And then, you know, maybe we don't have an exclusion there, but I'll leave that in for now because it should, actually, I'll remove it just for completeness sake. All right, so we'll take out that exclusion, and then we're going to refresh. And now you can see here that we've hit that threshold. And that's because even though our cart price would have been less than the 98, less than the 100, because we're now taking it based on the subtotal price, it now reaches the $100 threshold, which means that the cart progress bar is going to behave accordingly. If that is a little bit confusing, let's just simplify it to say that you have the option to choose whether it's based on total or subtotal, which should reflect how you are handling your discounts, because how you handle your discounts can be in various different ways, and we've allowed you to have the flexibility on your cart progress bar to match that. The other thing about discounts is that even though here it applies to all products, what you can do is you can actually use a different a different discount type. So if we add a discount, you can use a buy X and get Y style discount. And if you do it this way, then you can actually say how much of whatever product or collection that you want to be a part of. And this way you can set a certain exclusion criteria so that not every product that was added to the cart gets included as part of the discount calculation, but only the ones that you specify. And that's how the exclusions can be used to pair with the discount codes, so long as you just use the buy X get Y version. Okay, so that's the next change that we had made. And then after that, we have added a feature where these goals are now equidistant away. So before, it would kind of scale. So if you had 10, if the goal was 100 here, and you had a first goal at 30 and a second goal at 70, for example, then it would be placed at 30% of the total and 70% of the total. And so sometimes maybe you had a 50 and a 75. So then your 3 goals would be kind of condensed on the latter half of this bar, which would be accurate when it comes to how far along are you to each of those goals. But when you have limited space, sometimes maybe you want to represent the goals in terms of sequence. And so it's like, hey, this is how far you are from the first one, the second one, the third one. And it's not necessarily needed to have it by scale. And there's probably also some psychology involved with that as well, because when it doesn't seem like it's so far away, then customers may be more likely to add the necessary requirements to reach that goal. So what we've done here is that these are always going to be placed equidistant away, and you're not going to have those scaling issues anymore. So those are our changes. All the other features that we've shared previously are still there, right? You can still adjust the images to have a before and an after icon. You can still have your messages to your pre-goal messages, your post-goal messages. You can change the colors, you can change the background colors, you can change the text colors. So all of those features are still there, but on top of all of that, we've added these new features that I've just shared with you. So if you want to use this new version, then I think it's really great. So stick around, we're going to show you how to do that now. Okay, so let's add this feature into your store now. Now, if you've used a previous version of our cart progress bar, then a lot of these steps are going to seem familiar to you. So you won't have to necessarily do every single step. If there's any code that we're adding in, you can just replace your old code with the new code. But I will go through all the steps, because if you are coming here for the first time, then you don't have to kind of go back and forth to an older video. Everything you need is right here. All right, so the other thing is, if you need to get access to the code, then all you need to do is sign up for our free newsletter. And then once you do, you'll get a link to where you can find the code to this customization. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add a market meta field. So I explained this a little bit more in the previous videos. So, but what we do is to control the value of the goals and where they're set, if it's $100 or $150 or $20, we use market meta fields. And so to view them, you go into the markets, and you can come and look at, say, Canada, for example, and you can see here that we've got meta fields, cart progress goal thresholds. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. And so goal 1 has a $50 threshold, goal 2 has a $100 threshold, goal 3 has a $150 dollar threshold. And you can set it to be different for each market, because, you know, if we go to France, for example, then maybe it's in euros and you've got a different threshold that you want to set for that. So it's not always going to be, so instead of being 50 across all units of currency, then you can be very specific to the currency and to the location. Alternatively, now that we have set it so that you can use item count, instead of the unit being in dollars, so you can use the exact same meta fields, but if you're using the item count, just set how many items you want in here. Now, it is going to show in a decimal, but of course, items are single full numbers, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So just set that number there, and then the code will know what to do with it accordingly. And that's why earlier I switched to the UK for the item count one, because that's where we had set this properly. Now, if you have a mismatch between using something where you set this as item count, but your setting is still in dollars, then you're going to have, then you're just going to see that the bars come always full, because your products are probably more than $3 a piece. So those are the market meta fields. What you're going to need to do is you need to set them up. So we can go to custom data, markets, and then add definition, and then you're going to get this window here. But since we already created them, I'll just show you the setup here. So what we'd call it is cart progress goal threshold. And then it's going to automatically generate this namespace and key. So it'd be custom dot cart underscore progress underscore goal underscore threshold underscore 1. And this is going to be the namespace and key that you're going to want to have because our code is looking for this specific value. So just make sure that that matches what you see here. And it's going to be a type decimal, 1 value, and then a minimum value of 0 with a maximum number of decimal places as 2. And so once that's good, then you can save it, and you're going to do the same thing for 2 and 3. So it's going to have the exact same values, except the only change is the namespace and key is going to be 2 and the name's 2. And then the same thing with 3. It's the same thing, except as 3. And then so once you've created those meta fields, you can go back to your admin themes area, and you can start working on making the theme changes. Now, this theme here is one that I had just installed. It's a fresh new version of Dawn. So in this case, it's the latest version, so 15.2.0 at time of recording. And you can just go and edit code. Now, before you do, if you're not using a fresh theme, then make sure to duplicate your theme first, because if anything goes wrong, then you have a backup that you can always go back to without trying to figure out how to fix what went wrong. Now, here you can see it's grayed out, and that's because we've already used our 20 theme limit. So if you're in that scenario, what you can do is you can take any old theme, you just download it, a download theme file, and then you can just remove it, and then you still have your backup. Okay, so let's edit code now. And so like I mentioned, if you've already used an older version of this customization, particularly if it was one of the multi-step progress bar customizations, then you can just replace your old code with this version. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings schema.json, and we're just going to Control F, look for the word cart. It'll take us near the bottom right here. So these are our cart settings. I'll just kind of click beside this curly bracket. It's going to highlight it blue. We're going to see here, that's the pair. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our settings right after that. So I'll add a comma, and then we're going to copy and paste our code into here. So what we're doing here is we're adding settings into the theme editor. So just before I save, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay, so here in the theme settings, we can see here, all these settings here are defined in this file, settings schema.json. And so here is the cart settings. That's what we were just looking at. And what we're going to be doing is we're adding a new drop-down set of settings right underneath the cart. And so once I save and refresh, you can see here, cart progress bar now shows up, and we have all of these settings in here. Now, they won't do anything yet. That's what the rest of the code is for, so let's continue. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new snippet, and we're going to call this the cart progress bar custom.liquid, and we are going to copy and paste our code into here and save. Okay, next we are going to update the cart drawer file, and in here we're going to scroll down a little bit until we see the cart drawer items element right here. We're going to add a little bit of space above it, and we are going to paste our code in there and save. And then our next file is the main cart items.liquid file. So this is for the cart page, if you like to use the cart page instead of the cart drawer. And we're going to go right above the cart warnings here, and we are going to paste in our code for that right there. Save. Okay, and then finally we're going to go into the cart.js file. And in here, we're going to look for the update quantity method. So we'll see it right here. And in this method, you can scroll down a little bit until you see this publish line. Add a little bit of space, and this is where we're going to add our line to call the update progress bar method that we're going to be adding in. And so you can see here right after there's this closing curly black bracket and update live regions. We're going to go in between here and we're going to paste our new methods. So we have an update progress bar method and we have a currency conversion method, format currency. And we're going to save. And that's essentially it. So let's go back to our theme settings. We can refresh. And now we can go to our cart progress bar settings. We can enable the bar, right? So this is our master switch. We want to show our bar icons. Let's make it based on item count. And then let's put in our icons just real quick. So we can say the goal one was, say, free shipping. And then we had, let's say, a free gift for this one. And then we'll have a 20% off for this one. Okay, so if we save and we view our store, and let's go to UK because that is the one where we set the meta fields based on item count. We go to our cart. Oh, okay. So you can see here, there's only one goal that's been activated, and that's because in our settings, we have to activate the other ones. So you have the option to use less than 3 if you want, but if you want to use more than 1, then you just need to activate them. And then we can use them. So let's save and we can actually see what it looks like on the cart page. So there we go. We've got our cart progress bar on the cart page and we've got all 3 goals activated. Now we can just kind of show that it still works, right? Because our first one is reached when we have 3 items in cart because this one is still counting as an item. It hasn't been excluded. But if we do want to exclude it, then we just take our product ID from the URL there and place it into our exclusion list. Save that. So in this case, we are 2 away from the free gift because we have 3 items in cart. Once we refresh, it should say we're 1 away from our first threshold. So once we add that in, there we go. And we've got our cart progress bar working based on item count. But like I showed earlier, and like our previous version of the cart progress bar, your pricing goals, thresholds are still available. And some of the other features that we've added are that we can enable total or subtotal pricing for each goal individually. We've made it so that the spacing is now equidistant away, so it just looks nicer when you have any sort of scaling issues with where the goals are showing up. And we have an exclusion list as well. All right, so that's our upgraded cart progress bar. There's a lot of new features for you to use that you can pair it with all your different offers to help maximize your profits. And don't forget that we've got lots more Shopify features and growth strategies for you if you join a free newsletter. But I hope you enjoy this new version of the cart progress bar. Happy using it. And that's it for today. And I'll see you in the next one.